a scion of many worlds. The first impression Grandmother Bell has of Jasper is big. He's a big one, a very big one. Second is that his antennae are very, very twitchy, because they just do not stop, and her first impulse is to tie down the annoying things, that or get a hat on the big idiot. The second impression is that he's inquisitive. He's looking down a strange device made of several metal tubes and examining it closely. His knife-like fingers handle the bronze object with ease. Well, I certainly hadn't expected results so quickly, Lady Dusk. It would mean more if you would turn to look, Brianna says in an annoyed tone. I wish I could, but this is a very dangerous tool if poorly made, Jasper replies as he examines the object with his antenna, eyes and runs his claws up and down it. If anyone's missed a single error, this could kill a lot of our own girls. Is that a rotary gun? Brianna asks as Jasper turns to unveil the monster of a machine he's holding. Yep. After Terry gained the memories, she decided she wanted her own gun. I'm just making sure she doesn't kill herself with it, Jasper remarks before setting the weapon down. She's made it up to acceptable specs and has enough ammunition to cut down an entire army. If we let her run wild, she'll empty the city by herself. Scary, Brianna remarks even as Jasper steps away from the enormous weapon and seems to somehow become bigger as he walks up to them. How can anything that big even fly? So, you are the Dusk family. Welcome to our forward camp, ladies. I apologize for not snapping to attention, but the more powerful a weapon, the more precise it has to be, lest it turn upon you. And this 6-barrel rotary gun is the most precise and powerful weapon on the entire planet. So I apologize that I couldn't give a more formal greeting, but lives depend on my precision. Grandmother Bell walks right up to him and gives him a whack on the shin. The clunk as the walking stick hits the armor is resounding. Please don't do that. We're trying to catch the city by surprise. You are a strange one, aren't you? She asks, and he kneels down to be closer to her level. He still towers above her. I should hope so. My situation goes beyond the merely bizarre and incredible into the outright absurd. So long as you admit it, she notes before reaching up and grabbing some of the fur around his neck. She then tries to pull him down but makes no progress. I've already given you far more leeway than I should by letting that strike go uncontested. I'm just an hour away from committing either a decapitation strike against all of Meiru or a straight-up coup. What do you want? You're just asking. Do I look like the type who avoids his problems? No, you don't. Though you also look like something from a drunken dream, so this could go any which way. She replies and he chuckles. In all seriousness though, boy, what are you planning? Say you grab the throne and crown with all the council and empress hanging from the walls or lounging in cells as you desire. What happens next? Next I get talking with the nearby nations and start either preparing to invade them or calm them down as appropriate. The Greenstone Alliance would probably be easily appeased, and her snort of derision cuts him off. If you have something to tell me, then please say it. It's personal with the Greenstone. Believe me. I'd like to, but you telling me why and what form it takes would help my faith, Jasper remarks, and she huffs. It was my own grandmother's time. We were arguing for the bronze needed to cast a few more bells. We were making them at the time and not just selling them as they were when I gained command of the family. Okay, that's brought up several questions, but those are for later. What did your grandmother see? See? Nothing. What she heard were the riots of the northern provinces rising to such a crescendo that there was simply no way for war to not break out. Meiru has always been divided, right down the elemental lines. The elements of earth, fire, wind, and water are seen as the common dirty elements, things that are naturally felt and not ephemeral. Did you just tell me that the reason that people consider light and darkness higher elements is because people can't just pick them up and walk off with them? Jasper asks incredulously. Do you have to make it sound so stupid? I'm not sure how else to say it. It is stupid. All systems start out meritocratic in the beginning. Basic nobles are simply the better warriors that force others to obey, leveraging protection for resources. But elements? By my understanding, isn't it possible for an erumenta to spontaneously produce an erumenta of another element? He asks, and there's a pause. Oh, what now? We don't change our elements generation to generation. Where did you hear that? Grandmother Bell asks, and Jasper considers her for a moment before sighing. So that was lost as well. Well, if eternal life and unending prosperity isn't enough of a shock, that's one that'll kick the societal norms around. Here at least, Jasper remarks. I have access to information about erumenta beyond Lacron. If they have children with anything other than an erumenta of their exact element, then the child's elemental attribute is random. There have been cases of fire and earth erumenta coming together to form air or water erumenta, or even other elements that I've not seen here upon Lacron. Where are the ice erumenta, or the plant and energy-attuned erumenta? They're all missing. Lost elements? Wait, how does one have children with... Wait, right, you're a male. You could... Oh, is that what you meant by stirrings? Grandmother Bell asks her now quickly mortified daughter. Jasper snorts in amusement before dropping his voice a few degrees into a deep, rumbling bass. Would this have been part of it? He asks Brianna, whose eyes widen as she feels her bones vibrate from the sheer deep strength of his voice. Oh, that was something, like a bog singer, but clearly aimed at a woman and not a beast. Grandmother Bell remarks. The rebellions, ma'am? Jasper asks, his voice still deep. Oh, say ma'am again. I like the sound of it out of your mouth, she says with a smile. As for the rebellion, the mountains and rivers are far away from the capital and the peoples working there. Harvesting the fish, mining and quarrying were all fairly upset with how little they were getting paid for how much labor they were doing. Most of the northern half of the empire at the time was just manufacture and hard labor, with the mountains as a physical defense and generations of grudges against the light and dark. It must have been exciting to get out of that, Jasper notes. The term keeping your head down is something I'm told was very literal at the time, Grandmother Bell explains. Up north there's nothing but bad blood and they've had no chance to vent it. It's boiled for at least 3 generations, if not 4 or 5 at this point. That's very, very hard to push aside. It is, Jasper remarks, rubbing at his chin with his claws. However, difficult and impossible are 2 very different things. And how do you propose to do things? If I'm openly disrespectful to the crown of Meiru, that should win me many points. If it's clearly a trophy but not a prize. He considers, slowly standing up straight as he begins to consider. Yes, that could work. A position of power that is also at least somewhat on their side, at least visually. I've seen that look, granted on far less furry faces. You're cooking up something you think is devious. I am. Are you willing to share? I might. I don't completely know where you stand in all this, though. You're the family of one of my commanders, but blood relations only go so far in a system based on merit. Merit? What's she done that impressed you so? Without even the training on how to hold a knife properly, she kept hundreds of people together and moving through terrain that was unknown when it wasn't actively hostile. After that, she proved herself to have an amazing head for numbers and took well to the training I offered to up her martial skill. That's a great deal to be impressed by, he says, and Grandmother Bell lets out a sound of amusement. So, you think you can just walk in and take over? I think that if I show there's no way to beat me, there's a good chance it all ends. So you're looking for a way to boast? Whole nations are born on pride, it seems. Or in this case, brought to heel by a calculated crushing of it. From what I understand, you have personally been in the palace, Anything you tell me can help, especially the acoustics or visuals. I need a place and way to dramatically throw down the Empress and the Council. Without that, it gets much harder and more people have to die. You're waging war and you're trying to stop people from dying, Grandmother Bell asks incredulously. The prize I'm fighting for is the Meiru nation. A nation is made up of people, not stones and water and dirt. So, yes, I would like to preserve the thing I'm trying to take. It's the people you value, Giselle asks, cutting off her own mother before she can ask the same question. There are more worlds and nations than can be counted, people beyond measure and impossible resources and wealth to be plundered and taken if you're in the mind to take and steal. I, however, value integrity and honor. The Council and Empress are borderline insane with their cruelty and callousness to others. My mission here is rescue, to save as many lives as possible. To do that, I perversely must wage war on a world in order to deflate tensions so that a genocidal campaign of self-slaughter doesn't throw itself across the planet. The whole planet's holding a knife to its own throat, and if I have to break fingers to stop it from killing itself, I will. Explain your reason, creature. Grandmother Bell orders him, and he sighs. Every single nation is poking at each other and trying to provoke the others into a war, trying to be the defender from unjustified attack. This is because of the good intentions of the Grand Midwives. Preventing war is laudable, but when the forced peace simply a thread of doom that presses down on the pressure rather than easing tensions, it just builds and builds like a dammed river that's about to burst free. A river? Think of war and violence like a river that threatens to sweep away a town. You can divert it and ease it off. You can build the town high so it can resist the raging waters, or you can dam it and try to hold it back. All of these have problems. The diversion just means the problem is elsewhere and may very well sweep away another town. Reinforcing the town means the river still sweeps through and may still very well destroy the community. Damming it off can apparently hold it all back, but without some way to get rid of all that water, your dam will eventually be broken under the pressure of the river, and it will try to flow over it. I'm trying to drain the dam somewhat so that it doesn't immediately burst and sweep all the hatred, frustration, greed, and rage down to wipe out the village when my people arrive. And why would the arrival of your people break the dam? Because our metaphorical dam is the threat of extinction due to the Grand Midwives refusing to aid whatever aggressor nations there are. But my people arriving makes that threat utterly impotent, and they are coming. There's no stopping it. I can request a delay or two, but they are coming. So you see damnation approaching and seek to turn it aside. Our way of life is about to end, isn't it? Yes, that, if nothing else, is what I guarantee. Everything changes, and very soon, Jasper says. Not for the better? Change is always a two-sided sword, but in this case, yes, it is for the better. What you know as the Age of Miracles is the common day around the galaxy. My people are planning to bring that back, but it comes with knowledge and power that can cause the hatreds and grudges of old to turn in an orgy of murder. And that's why you're trying to bleed it off. Is this your fault? Is this something you've done and are trying to redeem yourself for? She asks sternly, and he looks away. His presence isn't shameful, but it is considering. He's thinking. No, although I am a central figure to things. I was brought to this world against my will. My people are coming to rescue me, and they're bringing supplies to rescue everyone. But the political situation is nothing short of an apocalyptic war just waiting to start. You can bring as much food as you want to a starving people, but there are always people who will take their cutlery and use it to slit the throats of their neighbors. And those lunatics have had far too long to breathe their poison into the minds of those around them. I need to rip them out and start purifying the wound in the very soul of this world. If the whole war lady, warlord thing doesn't work out, you may have a future as an orator or poet. I can help you, Grandmother Bell says, and he smiles. There is an enchantment in the throne room. It's to make public events as public as possible, and it forces a shift onto the protective wards around the city. It forces them to broadcast what can be seen, and when my family was raised to nobility, they had a brand new invention of it sending out sound as well. Oh my God, I can put my coup on public viewing and have the entire capital witness things as they happen. Yes, you want to take the city bloodlessly? That's how. Show them that I want control but not death, he says, and she nods. It's built into the ceiling of the room. I don't know how it works. I understand market prices and haggling, not bizarre magical nonsense. But my granddaughter tells me you're some kind of magician on top of everything, so that may be enough. Yes, this is an enormous help. I will have to take some time to learn the system, though. Thank you truly. You may have just saved many lives, he says, stepping back and away. Excuse me, the sooner I learn how to control that systems, the better. Once again, welcome to our camp. Feel free to pass through to Aridus Valley if you want some distance from the siege and Coup. Lady Brianna Dusk knows her way around. His piece said his wings fold up from under his cloak, and in all defiance of those who have ever seen an Earthani in flight, he slams them downwards and launches up, as if suddenly hurled from a bow. The fellow doesn't even fly right and fully intends to conquer Meiru. What a day, not even dawn and it's already full up, Grandmother Bell remarks wryly.